Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Primarchs as we get into Angron's origin. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. If you have any suggestions, please comment down below, and don't forget to hit the little bell notification icon to stay updated as far as what we post. And if you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. It's because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support. But with that said, let's get into the origins of the Primarch Angron. During the scattering of the Primarch's gestation capsules from the Emperor of Mankind's gene laboratories deep beneath the Himalayan mountains on Terra, Angron was deposited through the warp to the civilized world of Nuceria. Where this planet is located in the galaxy, or if it even still exists, is uncertain, though most signs seem to point to somewhere in the Ultima Segmentum. Imperial savant speak of Angron's world as technologically advanced and ruled over by a wealthy elite who lived in decadent opulence, while the populace of their cities lived in poverty in the slums that surrounded their palaces and villas. To distract the populace from their poverty, the oligarch rulers of Nuceria held regular gladiatorial death matches in massive arenas, using cybernetically enhanced gladiators who battled to satisfy the endless bloodlust of the oppressed people. Each Colosseum represented the terrible inequality present on Nuceria. While hundreds of gladiators fought for their lives each day in the arena floor, the crowds up above them were further divided as the Nucerian classes were. Nucerian lords and priests had the best seats in the arena. Seating amongst these elites depended on their influence and how many gladiator slaves they owned. This was done to show the spectators how important each lord was. Higher up sat all the individuals who were not owners of the gladiators, but facilitated in their keeping. Trainers, off-duty guards, and Nucerian nobles with a keen eye for buying or selling potential champions that saw battle in the arena. Above them were the Nucerian civilians, who saw the savagery of the battles as a means to cope with their pitiful lives. 3 events took place in an ordinary show day. First was a beast show in the morning. This was when 2 creatures, most often captured in the wilds of Nuceria or from a neighboring planet, would be forced to tear each other apart for the enjoyment of the crowd. The second event was the execution of criminals at midday. Often Nucerian nobles that came from poorer houses accused of petty crimes. They were tortured or fed to the winning beast of the morning show. This gave the crowds a false sense of satisfaction at seeing what they believed as highborn Nucerians killed for their satisfaction. Peasant civilians were rarely executed in the arena unless the crime angered the populace. The third and most popular event was the gladiatorial combats in the afternoon. The crowds were attending mainly for the entertainment of these games. They were seen as proper shows with professionally trained combatants. The spectators of the arenas were dangerously bloodthirsty during each battle. The crowds would often cheer for more blood and more sacrifice after each death. It was on this world that the Primarch Angron was eventually discovered. He plummeted to the icy mountains of the planet. Not long after, a slaver found him in a scene of carnage. Surrounding the wounded young Primarch were the corpses of numerous Xenos. Imperial scholars would later theorize that they were Eldar who had foreseen the great bloodshed that Angron would cause and had tried to unsuccessfully stop him. The young Angron had been badly wounded in combat but remained alive. Taken as a slave, the young boy was brought to the palace of Praxica, the seat of Rexium throne of the powerful Nucerian city-state of Deshe, where he was sold to the ruling clan, the Thalkur. The youth's obvious potential as a gladiator was soon made apparent, and he was soon bought by the largest and most powerful arena in the capital. The young Primarch was given a name, Angron Thalkir, and nursed back to health. His name meant child of the mountain and property of House Thalkir. During his life as a slave, he befriended an older gladiator by the name Onimus. He became the closest thing to a father figure the young Primarch had. With Onimus's teachings and Angron's raw power, the Primarch became a famed gladiator known as the Unbeaten and a favorite of the crowds. Unfortunately, after battling and defeating a pair of berserker Ogrons, the masters of the arena, ordered the two gladiators to fight one another to the death. Angron refused, and his masters ordered that he undergo a psychosurgery known as the Butcher's Nails as punishment. He then received the bioneurical cybernetic implants. These were hammered into the Primarch's skull and surgically grafted to his cerebral cortex. Relic devices from the dark age of technology, these cortical implants would boost a warrior's adrenaline, resulting in greater strength and aggression in battle. They bleached a warrior's mind of all reason, all caution, and all instinct of morality. The nails rewarded rage with spurts of electrochemical pleasure, tingling synapses, and deadening enjoyment of everything else. No better machine had ever been contrived. Upon receiving the Butcher's Nails, Angron was set loose on Onimus, and he killed him in a blind frenzy. When Angron finally regained his senses, the despair of his revelation caused him to unleash a bestial howl for days. The cells below the massive arena were home to several thousand gladiators, all implanted with the Butcher's Nails, and Angron took his place amongst them. After only a few months, Angron Thalkir had become a proud warrior with fearsome skills, and even stronger sense of honor, known to the crowds as the Lord of the Red Sands. He killed hundreds of other gladiators, but those who fought well he always spared. Although Angron seemed to enjoy the life of a gladiator and the adoration of the crowd, he secretly resented his slavery and was always plotting to escape. He proved to be a troublesome champion, prone to attempt escaping whenever he saw an occasion, but such efforts always failed. Within a few standard years, Angron's fame had spread to every corner of his homeworld. Under his training, the gladiators of his arena soon became the greatest the world had ever seen, and none could stand against them. Yet Angron also learned, following a final failed escape attempt, that he would never succeed alone. His unbending warrior code and sheer combat skills had made him a well-respected leader amongst the other gladiators, and when the largest death games ever held on Nuceria were announced, Angron planned his most daring escape attempt. For these new games, Angron was allowed to stage a vast combat that would involve every gladiator in his arena. As the crowds drowned out the sound of battle, Angron's gladiators turned on their armed guards, butchering them and fighting their way to freedom. Against the guards, who were armed with firearms, the gladiators' casualties were extremely high, but nearly 2,000 survived to escape into the streets of the city, stealing what weapons and supplies they could before fleeing into the northern mountains where Angron had first been discovered. Over the next few years, the rulers of the world dispatched many armed forces to kill or recapture the rebel slaves, who soon named themselves the Eaters of Cities, but all were destroyed in turn by Angron's leadership, martial skill, and the cybernetically enhanced fury of the gladiators. But attrition and hunger slowly took their toll on the slaves, and eventually only 1,000 men and women remained, half the size of the original force of escapees. On a mountain named Fedden Moor, on a bleak spit of land known as Desh Elika Ridge, Angron and his forces were finally surrounded by no less than 5 large Nucerian armies. Not even the Primarch could stand against such sheer numbers. Yet it was at this time that the Emperor of Mankind came to this world, brought by the psychic emanations of his gene son, the Primarch. And those were 40 facts on the origins of the Primarch Angron. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to share it with your friends and thank our patrons on Patreon. It's because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. It's $1 a month. That dollar goes a long way, so thank you guys ahead of time. Now, if you can't, we understand. Simply by liking, commenting, and sharing, it helps out the channel. Most importantly, give us your recommendation as far as what the next Primarch should be for the origin story. I want to get all the origins done first, and then we'll continue to the encounters with the Emperor, and so on, and so on, and so on. So please comment down below. If you guys have any suggestions, any comments, just comment down below, or hit us up on Facebook or Instagram. We are pretty active on both those sites. We have a Twitter, but we never really go on it. So, but with that said, I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate signing out.